Happy National Nutrition Month. My name is Alexandra Brown. I'm the Food Services Director and the Registered Dietitian here at LCAP. Thank you for joining us. So, as some of you may know, it's National Nutrition Month. And National Nutrition Month is a month sponsored by the Academy of Dietetics and Nutrition. Basically, this month is all about promoting healthy eating, physical activity, and just overall wellness. And this month's theme is Celebrate Your Plate. And all of us celebrate our plates in different ways, through our culture, through our language, through our overall diet choice, whether that be vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian. And we're basically just here to celebrate our plate. And today we're going to go over 3 key aspects to help you really promote healthy eating in your life. So we're gonna go over meal planning, we're gonna go over prepping food, and we're also gonna be going over mindful tips to healthy eating. Okay, so let's go over some meal planning essentials. So pull out your phones and take some really good notes. One reason we really want to tap into meal planning is because not only do we want to conserve our time, but we also want to be wise with our money and our resources, referring to food. So the first thing to our meal planning essential is to prepare your food in bulk. So say you have some onions and say you have corn. Make sure that as soon as you get home from the grocery store, you're going to cut those onions out and or basically cut your corn off your cob and then put it in a container as well. And that's how you're able to limit your waste throughout the week. Another thing with that is called next overs. So a next over isn't exactly a leftover, but it's understanding that you're going to utilize your ingredients in multiple recipes throughout your week. So say on Monday, we're gonna put our onions and our corn together. And then on Tuesday, we're just gonna have our corn with our Mexican dish. And then on Wednesday, we're gonna have our onions in our spaghetti dish. So that's kind of how that flows with our next over, is just learning how to incorporate different foods into different recipes. And then a great way we can learn how to utilize our next overs is by meal planning, of course, because this is meal planning essentials, but actually taking the time to really lay it out throughout our week and writing it down. One thing I like to use are cookbooks. So cookbooks already have that layout set for you. So it's gonna have your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, what recipes involved, what ingredients are involved, and the nutrition information. So it's gonna say like, in one box for breakfast, go to page 59 for your egg skillet. And that's gonna have all the information you need in it. So I definitely recommend going to the library or ordering a cookbook on Amazon, because that's personally what I use to get everything done. Another point is utilizing our pantry and our freezer. So in our pantry, we're gonna have more of our beans, our pastas, any canned items are gonna be in our pantry. And then for our freezer, we're gonna have our fruits and our vegetables. So going into the freezer, we can go ahead and prep meals ahead, and then we can go ahead and stick them in our freezer and utilize them I would say 2 to 3 months later if necessary. And then also with our freezer, we can cut up our fruits and vegetables in their peak season and then keep them until when we need them. So, even thinking that far ahead is really great for meal planning. Or even if you'll do it on a 2-week basis. So you say you go to the farmer's market on Saturday and you want to make some like fresh smoothies. Next Saturday, after that, you're gonna stock up on strawberries, cut them up, and then go ahead and throw them in the freezer. So that's a great way to really think about how to utilize your freezer. And then with your pantry items can be in there up to a year depending on what it is. So making sure that you have a really good pantry stock is really important to meal prepping. And then also too, my last tip is to be mindful of what we already have in our stock. So really just evaluating what's in your pantry already, what's in your fridge, what's in your freezer, before you go forward with making your meal plan out on Saturday before you go grocery shopping on Sunday. So just doing a thorough evaluation. Like the other day, I looked at my pantry and I had black beans, I had some corn, and then off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, quesadillas. So that's what I made. I just needed to purchase some tortillas and some cheese as well. And then I was able to make my quesadillas for the week. And I actually had frozen them, so then I was able to use them later on that week. So just be thinking about constantly what's in your fridge, because like we said, we really wanna conserve our resources and conserve our time as well. Okay, so let's go into a few recipes that I picked out. Okay, so our 3 recipes are our green grains and fried egg, our sausage skillet with tomatoes and broccoli, as well as our free-form salad. So I used the Cook 90 recipe book to be able to pick these 3 recipes. And the reason I picked these 3 recipes is because they have similar ingredients incorporated throughout each recipe. So that's how I was saying earlier with the essentials to meal prepping is to knowing which ingredients kind of go in what to decide what recipe you want to use that week. Okay, so the first recipes are green grains and fried egg. I mean, it just sounds amazing. So with that, you can either use your quinoa, farro, rice, or another grain. And that is also incorporated in a different recipe too. And then we have our garlic herb sauce, our olive oil, our egg, and we can either utilize spinach or broccoli. And the thing about our spinach is that we could use frozen spinach. So we can basically take our frozen spinach out of the freezer and then boil it and then throw it in the frying pan with it, or throw it in the frying pan with it right out of the freezer, however you would like to do that. Okay, and then after that, we have our sausage skillet with tomatoes and broccoli. So just how we said with the last recipe, this broccoli can be used in the sausage skillet and it can be used in our green grains and fried egg recipe. So the sausage skillet with cherry tomatoes and broccoli includes Italian sausage, cherry tomatoes, parsley, broccoli, and butter. So the one note I want to make about our cherry tomatoes is that we are putting it into another recipe, but it can only be in the refrigerator for about 5 to 8 days, like they get kind of wrinkly after a while. So the thing is just being mindful of that when they're in your fridge. And if they do start to get wrinkly, you can always consider making a spaghetti dish that week and then throwing it into your spaghetti dish. I think that would be really good just to add flavor. And then another thing with our sausage skillet is that we have parsley in there. So originally it had a different herb in it, but I substituted for parsley so we could also use it in the next recipe I'm about to discuss. So considering that too, so you may have a whole bunch of recipes with different types of herbs in them, but that was like the chef's choice. Like they felt like parsley or dill or mint went best with that. But if you have personal experience and you know parsley would go better with that and it could be incorporated into something else, I would consider that too. So that's why I substituted parsley in here for this recipe. And then like I mentioned, we have our broccoli. And then we also have our butter in here as well. And we know butter lasts in the fridge for a while. So people always have butter. So it's just a good thing to always have in your refrigerator is some butter. So that's our sausage skillet with cherry tomatoes and broccoli. Okay, so our last recipe here is our free-form Pharaoh salad. So you don't exactly have to use farro, but you could use either quinoa or rice or another grain. And that's the same thing with the breakfast item that we mentioned earlier. You can use any grain that you would like. So that's really, your choice. So however you would want to go about that is great. So, but in this case, I feel like farro would go really well. So we have our farro, we have our basic vinaigrette dressing, and then we have our crunchy vegetable, which you can decide. So you can either do cabbage, you can do celery, carrots, or radishes. Personally, I would probably do carrots because the thing about carrots, you can even do radishes if you want, you can incorporate that into your snack for that week too. So not only is that incorporated into your salad, but you could take those carrots and use them as a snack with maybe some ranch or vinaigrette, or what did we talk about earlier? Or your garlic herb sauce. So there's ways to like really flex with the crunchy vegetable. And then we have our cherry tomatoes, which we said is in our sausage skillet. It's also in our Pharaoh salad. And then we have our parsley. And then we also have our spinach and or broccoli. And the thing is too, say you want spinach and broccoli or you're not sure, go ahead and buy both and just throw them in your fridge. I feel like that's a really good option too, because when it's in your freezer, which is related to your refrigerator, you could eat that at any point in time. And then we have feta cheese also in our salad. So the things with our feta cheese too, we have to consider that it is cheese and the shelf life on the cheese in our refrigerator. So possibly considering having whole wheat toast and sprinkling some feta cheese on it later on in the week. And also depending on your household size too. If there are a lot of you in the household, the feta cheese or all of these ingredients are gonna go quick. But just considering how we can just tap it into other things in our home. And the nice thing about feta cheese, for example, and wheat toast is that there's not a lot of preparation involved. It's already what it is, so you can put it together easily. So that's with all of everything in here, is that we want to make sure it's easily accessible for us throughout the week. And that's why we meal prep it on Sunday and we plan the entire thing out on Saturday. And then, okay, so another thing in our freeform salad, we have our tuna, and how earlier we were talking about our pantry items. I feel like tuna is a really good shelf-stable item that you can keep for months on months in your pantry. And then it's also really easy just to get a can opener, open it, and dump it in your salad. And then also tuna is a really good high-protein snack to have throughout your week. So say you didn't use all of the tuna in the salad, you can also put it in a plastic baggie, throw it in the fridge, and use it tomorrow with maybe some lemon and eat it with your crackers the next day or even as a midnight snack. And then also too, we have our eggs in our Pharaoh salad. So particularly in this recipe, it's supposed to be hard boiled, which isn't the same how it is for our breakfast item. However, it's good to use similar ingredients like we were saying in a variety of our recipes. So basically you can just take that egg and boil it either earlier during the week on Sunday, or you can boil it right before you eat your recipe, which I mean isn't that much considering your vegetables should already be cut. Your quinoa and farro will already be boiled because you did all that on Sunday. So we want to do a little bit of cooking, but the main goal with meal planning and meal prepping is prepping, I guess. So yeah, I think those are 3 really cool recipes that you could literally have in one day and the recipes just overlap. Or you can have one of them on Monday and the other 2 on Tuesday, however you want to spread it out. I think these recipes are great. Okay, so next we're going to go over our 6 tips to mindful eating. All right, so the first tip to mindful eating practices and just celebrating our plate is honoring our food. So your food did a lot to get to your actual plate. It went all the way from the farmers to where it was cleaned and washed, to a truck, to the grocery store, and then you driving to the grocery store, picking it up, bringing it to your home, cooking it, preparing it, all that, dishing it onto your plate, and now you're actually enjoying that. So thinking about that entire process is just insane. So just really taking that in and really being appreciative, I think is a great step to being mindful. So another thing we really want to focus on is engaging all of our senses after we've been appreciative of our plate. So first, we want to make sure it tastes good. You know, that comes to meal prepping and just having great cooking techniques, but also that comes to the actual sight of the food too. So one thing I really love about going out to eat is that they present this beautiful plate to me. So why not do that for yourself? So when you're at home, when you're cooking on your pretty plates, or even bring out the nice plates, you know? I know using plastic is easier, or using, you know, your standard plates is nice, but sometimes bring out the nice china for a regular Tuesday night dinner. And then I feel like that just makes your eating experience a lot more fruitful and engaging. Another thing about mindful eating is serving yourself in portions. So maybe having plates that are a lot smaller, and also dishing yourself a lot smaller food portioning. So what I mean by food portioning is that we're not having servings that are bigger than 4 ounces on your plate for a side. So maybe having 4 ounces of veggies, 4 ounces of beans, and then maybe 4 ounces of protein. And then from there, you can get up and grab more if you need it. So just understanding that I do have more food up there, but I'm going to enjoy what's right here on my plate. And you can always get up and get seconds. But something that I've realized is that I'll be eating, and then I think I'm like, man, I should have put more on my plate. But honestly, by the time I'm done, I'm like, wow, like I'm pretty full. And then I just use those foods later for a leftover, and then I might just eat them the next day or just take them to work for lunch, or I freeze them. So another thing is that when you're consuming your food and after being appreciative and having smaller portions, we're going to take small bites. So when we take smaller bites, that actually makes us full faster. And the reason I'm saying that is because your brain and your stomach can connect, have that time to really connect what's going on. Because if you ever notice, you eat really, 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 really fast, and then you're just like, oh, like your stomach hurts you, like you feel bloated, all of that. But if you would have ate a lot slower in that situation, your stomach and your brain would have been able to tell each other like, hey, we're getting full now, so we can kind of slow down. And that goes back to what we were saying earlier, like conserving our time and our resources and our money. So if we are getting full faster, we'll be able to take that food and use it as leftovers for the next day. And then we're buying less food throughout the week because we're spreading our food out. And then that goes also into weight management. So mindful eating practices also help you manage your overall weight to the appropriate healthy weight that you're supposed to be at, depending on activity and age and all those other things. Okay, so another tip I have for you guys is eat slowly to avoid overeating, which goes with taking smaller bites. And then the last tip I have is do not skip meals. Don't skip meals. Don't skip meals, and don't just eat one big breakfast or one big lunch expecting that to level out your energy levels throughout the day. One thing about having one big meal is that you may feel really hungry throughout the day. So say your goal is just to have one big dinner. Say, okay, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm not going to eat breakfast or lunch. I'm just going to eat dinner. But the thing is, by the time you actually get to dinner, you're starving. You are just possibly just going to go to the quickest convenient place. You might just go to Donato's real quick, get a large pizza, and then just eat the whole pizza. And you're like, how did I do that? So the two things that I'm going to point out that I guess my concern with that is that one is that we did pick Donato's. Not saying pizza is not bad every once in a while or good. The thing is that we didn't plan for that. So if you're going to eat Donato's, let's at least plan for that. And the second thing is you consume too many calories at one time. We really want to spread out our calories throughout the day, which will really sustain our energy levels, right? So I do encourage everybody to have 3 meals a day. One, breakfast is just fun to eat. I mean, I love pancakes, waffles, oatmeal, eggs, grains, vegetables. I love all of that. And orange juice, tea, all of that can be eaten at breakfast time. So if you are hungry at breakfast, please eat. I mean, unless like you're fasting or something else along those lines, I would take breakfast to your advantage. Have a smaller breakfast, maybe some yogurt and granola. But like I said, spreading your meals throughout the day is a good option, and it still sustains your weight by eating a few meals every day. Okay? So those are my 6 tips. Let me go back over them again. Honor your food, farmers to your plate, engage all your senses, the way it smells, the way it looks. Make sure you have a pretty plate. Serve in modest portions so you're not overeating, and then we can use those foods that we didn't eat for leftovers for lunch or something like that. We're going to savor small bites and just really chew thoroughly so our brain and our stomach can connect. And we want to eat slowly to avoid overeating. Same thing with the brain and the stomach connecting. And then we don't want to skip our meals because we don't want to overeat or overstuff ourselves and make ourselves feel uncomfortable. We want to plan out if we're either going to eat Donato's or spaghetti that we're making for dinner, or if we're going to a friend's house, and not having that thought that skipping meals helps us lose weight. And then just doing our research in regards to our overall eating habits. So yeah, those are my 6 tips. And I thank you guys for listening so much. I hope this meal planning talk and mindful tips helps you celebrate your plate, because I know you guys have done a great job in 2021 and 2020 and will continue to do great throughout this year. And just accepting like, hey, like I eat for my health and my energy and I'm doing a great job, and just really appreciating yourself for that and celebrating yourself and celebrating your family, because I know some of you have families and grandchildren, and knowing that cooking and food just feeds the soul and your spirit, and it just makes everything a lot lighter in life. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your National Nutrition Month. If you guys want more information, please go to eatright.org, or just go to type in National Nutrition Month, or type in registered dietitian, or call us here and I can give you more information about it, because I can talk about it all day. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a good week again. Bye.